Welcome to the Inside View. I'm Renzulli, your host. As always, thank you for watching. This is my series of interviews with candidates who are running for Common Council in this year's November election. The interviews are going to be limited to 30 minutes or less. Each candidate gets asked the same set of questions. With me today is Jacob Carpenter, who's running for election in Ward 4. Jacob, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, you're very welcome. Let's start out with a brief snapshot of your background.
Sure. So I grew up in Dodgeville. I went to Dodgeville High School, and I graduated from there. And I went to Herkimer College and got a degree in broadcasting. And now my wife and I have lived in Little Falls for about 13 years now. We've owned our house over on the south side we're going on our 4th year over there. And it's been great. We have wonderful neighbors, great neighborhood. It's a nice place to let our 2 sons, our kids grow up. I've worked at the same company for 18 years. I've been at a Blue Cross Blue Shield in Utica, and I process, claims for federal employees. So I love it. I wouldn't go anywhere else for work at this point.
Okay. So why are you running for council?
So government has always been something that's been an interest to me. When I was in college, I studied constitutional law for a short period. I've always taken an interest in politics, and when we settled on Little Falls as a place to raise our family, it's always been something that's been an idea to try to give back to the community. It's always been something that I've talked to with former teachers from high school, professors from college. It's always just been something that I've wanted to try to do to help out where I can, and to try to make things a little bit better. Okay.
And thinking about being an alderman, how would you define the role of an effective alderman?
So I really feel like it's somebody that the constituents and the people in the ward and can come to voice their concerns with, the way that they see things are headed, or the way that they, any kind of concern that they may have, and that the alderman would be the go-between between the mayor, between the different heads of departments, like the DPW, or police department, fire chiefs. We can kind of try to be that gap to the bridge there to help people out.
So what is it about your set of skills, your experience, that would help you to do that?
I like to talk to people. People seem to feel like I'm an easy person to talk to get along with. Whether you've got an I, a D, or an R after, for your political party, we've all got common ground in the city aspect. We all want to live in a clean city. We want things taken care of. We want to know that when we call 911, somebody's going to answer the call. Somebody's going to show up. Be it ambulance, fire, police. I feel like I have an effective way to communicate between people.
Okay. Tell me what you think are the top 3 issues facing Little Falls.
So we really do need to. I think we've done a lot of good things in the last year or so. I've had a couple of chances to listen to Mayor Kaufman and get a chance to hear her vision and what she wants to do going forward to try and straighten the city out. Of course, we've got a financial burden that we've discovered, and we're trying to crawl out of that hole, and it takes time. So that's one of them, trying to help stay focused to where we can get back out of the red, and maybe we can do some of these extra projects that we want to do going forward, things that the city might have to help fund a little bit. That would be something to keep track of. I think another thing would be helping grow the city's platform on social media. I think that's something that would be a concern, because right now, if somebody wants to know if there's a parking ban on, a lot of people that may not have, that may not be, they may not know there's right now it's just a phone number. So like a citywide alert system would be great, like a text message system that we could opt into for people. Something like that would be great, to let people know when there's boil water go in effect citywide or just in a certain ward. That would be something to look into. And I think the other thing would be, how do we draw business? How do we draw more people into not even just business? How do we draw more people to want to come live here? How do we want to get people to settle their families? How do we get back to the city, the destination? How do we get back to where people want to stay, and not just this is a stepping stone to somewhere else?
So if you were elected, how would you contribute to creating some of these things that you're talking about?
Well, I think that as far as the social media aspect goes, a lot of the communication that's official for the city should come from the official city accounts. I feel like maybe a social media director in this day and age might not be a bad idea for the city to have in their back pocket. I know we've got a lot of young people that are very tech savvy in our area. We've also got Herkimer College with a new media program. So that may not be a bad idea that's in our backyard to tap into, to maybe have some kind of joint venture with that college. That would be a help. Again, I think that the big thing would be, I would like to listen to other people's concerns and see what else they think we should focus on too.
Let's drill down on your ward a little bit. What are the top 3 issues in your ward that you're concerned about?
Well, I think that in my ward, things that I have noticed, and things that, just talking to some other people that, that own houses or live in the ward, we want to make sure that people take care of their properties, and specifically in the ward, people mow their lawns, people, manicure their hedges, or, whatever. So that goes to either the homeowner or the landlord. We need to make sure that people are obeying speed limits, because I do think there may be a concern specifically on my street, but there may be, Ward 4 is large. It's Main Street South, pretty much.
What street do you live in?
I live over here on Flint Ave.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So Main Street South is Ward 4. So people obeying traffic signals, traffic stop signs, things like that. That's a concern, I'm sure. But the unique thing about Ward 4 is it's a lot of businesses. So how do we support the businesses? How do we make it so that they can afford to stay? How do we help them? I think that would be a concern as well.
So how would you approach some of those problems if you were elected?
Well, I think that as far as the business aspect goes, I think that we can, by shopping local, by supporting, like the Foxtail opened, and she is fantastic. My wife and I go there at least once a week. We do go to White Rose. There's a few businesses in town that we frequent, but supporting the local businesses, seeing what they need to help them stay afloat, or not necessarily even afloat, but it's how do you keep them so that they can stay? I don't know. I don't think that I have all of the answers, but I think I'd like to try and help somewhere.
Okay. If elected, how do you intend to stay in contact with your constituents in Ward 4?
So I have an email address right now that I've created for just the campaign. I haven't gotten many emails, but I'm not sure quite many people know. I also wanted to have I'll have a cell phone that people can get in contact with me. I live over on Flint Ave, and I'm not super hard to find. So if you've got a problem, come talk to me. It's football season, so Saturday and Sunday I hang out in my garage watching football games. So that's where I am. I've got a couple of TVs hung in my garage, and I sit there and hang out.
Not a baseball fan?
I am a baseball fan. I am a Yankees fan. I am just a much larger football fan. So yes, I do watch the baseball games in the postseason, but football is where I've grown up.
Okay. What sets you apart from the other candidates you're running against? Two others.
Boy, it's tough because I've had the chance to talk to Laura and Dan, and they're both fantastic. Laura's living a couple of houses down from me, so she's like a neighbor. They're great people to talk to. They're really down to earth. I feel like that's a common thing that we have, is where we're kind of all really easily approachable. And I think that we all kind of explain things the same. We think, for the most part, we kind of think the same way. I don't, as far as how I'm set apart from everybody is, if we talk the political end of it, if we look at that, I'm an independent candidate, so I'm not beholden to anything that a party wants to try to, push an agenda wise. It's literally what everybody thinks. I'm open to everybody's ideas.
Okay. Well, here in Little Falls, we have a particular form of government where the mayor has her responsibility and her authority,
Yep.
and you have the common council that has
Right.
its authority and its responsibilities. How do you see those coming together, meshing? How do you better put? How do you define the working relationship between an alder person and the mayor?
So I've had the chance to go to a few common council meetings, and it's been a really good experience because I've learned a little bit of the vision of what the mayor has and what the aldermen do, as far as they help approve bonds and they help approve different kind of orders that the mayor can change. So the mayor has her vision, sets things out, and then the aldermen come in and they review what she's set forward, and they vote on everything. It's not like this is it, this is how we're doing it. It's everybody has a voice, and it's a working relationship because it is a give and take. It's how do we get to the same goal? How do we get to a better city? So I think that it's a hand in hand thing. It's not just this is the set way that we're going to do it.
Are you satisfied with the level of transparency in the mayor's office and her ability to communicate with people in this city?
Yeah, I think she's done a pretty good job of it. I think I've had the chance to read some of the op-eds that she's done for the My Little Falls page. I've had the chance to listen to her talk when as part of the South Side Improvement Group that I'm a member of. I think that she's done a good job of being transparent and letting people know that this is the trouble that we're facing. This is what we're going to look to do to dig ourselves out of that hole.
Okay. How do you feel about the homeless population, the homeless problem here in Little Falls?
I can certainly say that we do have an issue, especially living over on Flint in the south side where I do. With the bike path there, you can see people walk up and down the bike path at different times of day, that are maybe not there just to enjoy the scenery. It is unfortunate. It is a issue that is not necessarily just like a policing issue. It is a resource issue. It is an issue with, I'm sure some people don't have the funds maybe to have an apartment or to live in an apartment. Some of it is it could be a drug and alcohol problem that they have. It's a number of things. As far as how do we fix it, we have to let people know the resources that we do have. So we do have a food pantry in town. We need to make sure that people know what their hours are. We need to see what we can do to get people the help that they need. Because nobody should, especially coming into the cold months, nobody should be outside. Nobody should be out in the cold.
So where would they go in Little Falls?
Well, I think I believe the YMCA is a warming station. But that's only during hours of operation. So we'd have to look at how do we get people, how do we make it so that they can be able to stay somewhere like that, maybe at an overnight, on an overnight level. We don't necessarily have a shelter here, at this point, but there are shelters, in Utica, that's a travel. So somebody that is homeless may not have the ability to get there, but there's got to be a way to help them a little bit more than we are currently.
Okay. And thinking about the working relationship, getting back to that again, between council members, if you had an issue with another council member where you strongly disagreed about something, what would your approach be in dealing with that? How do you approach that?
I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like we'd have to, if I really have a problem with somebody, I'd have to talk to them and say, okay, so why is it that you see whatever the issue is from the way that you're seeing it? And how do we get to a common, okay, we don't have to completely agree on everything, but how do we get to a common ground where it's solvable and it's livable for everybody? Because at the end of the day, it's not whether I don't like you as an alderman or I have a problem with you as an alderman. It's how do we effectively work together to help our city and help our constituents.
Okay. Where do you see the city 5 years from now? Or where would you like to see our city?
I would love to see a larger population in our city. I'm sure the mayor probably would too. I would love to see some more businesses come into town that can give people jobs. I would love to see, I'm sure, manufacturing may not necessarily be the answer, at least on a large scale, but maybe we can bring in some businesses. You look to cities like Frankfurt, and they have all of the distribution centers, and that one, the couple of lots that they have, and we have an abundance of. While we are, just the city, which is, within city limits, we may not have the ability to put a distribution center. That's not necessarily feasible, but we do have some old factories here on the south side that we could put somebody that wants to manufacture something on a small level in, something water related like kayaks or something like that, or boats.
Which buildings are you referring to?
So we had the building next to the brewery is, I've seen somebody has that now, I believe. So I believe somebody's purchased that or somebody owns that. But something, if we could fit something in there, that'd be great. Just a business or just a company that could get a few more jobs into town to help the residents that we have.
Okay. Final thoughts?
I'm really new into the politics thing. As far as running for office, this is the first time I've ever done it. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come in and get to chat. I'm glad that we've had some volunteers that have stepped up and helped the different candidates get their different candidates get their ideas forward. I won't say agendas, it's their ideas, because everybody's got ideas. But now it's a matter of, it's up to the voters and how do we want to see the city going forward. So I'm glad, I'm grateful. I appreciate your you guys taking this time to do this. I appreciate it.
Very welcome, and thank you for taking the time. And I think participating the way you are is great. We need more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody. Boy, I really don't know that a lot of people know how to effectively fill out a petition to have to run for office, or where to get that information. I just happen to know from talking from attending the Southside meeting that there was an alderman election coming up, because we had an alderman in the 4th Ward resign, and then Laura was appointed, and now everybody's running again. So.
And there are 12.
And there's a lot.
3 in every ward, which is really
great.
Good.
And you know what? When there's more than 2 candidates running in each ward, it gives people, I feel like it gives people a choice. Mm-hmm. You don't have to say, well, these are the only 2 names that are on here, so I guess I got to fill something out. You have a choice, and that's nice to see.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah, absolutely very important. Absolutely. It sure is.
All right, Jacob, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. And that's Jacob Carpenter running in Ward 4 on the independent line. The election is November 4th. Early voting starts October 25th. Please exercise your right to vote. I'm Ralph Renzulli, and thank you for watching.